Hey, how's it going? I didn't know how to title this, but I think I'm gonna call it a bSV's Noobs Week in Crypto, because there's lots of stuff to unpack this week because lots of things happened really quickly in the space of a week, and I'm still getting COVID vibes of Fridays just seem to like go really quick to the next Friday. Like I literally wake up on a Friday morning and feel like yesterday was Friday. Don't know if anybody else has that, but that's kind of where my head state is at the minute. So I've got loads to go through. I've got notes on my second screen here because there's lots to unpack. But I had a lot of support come through this morning, which was really random, but really well timed as well, because I've been thinking a lot about blockchains and communities recently, and because we've got, I don't know, 7,000 different blockchains out there, especially if you're going to have a look on CoinGecko. There's lots of different communities and lots of different blockchains that you can play with, but never have I felt more welcomed than the bSV lot this week. So a quick shout out to James, Donald, Deepish, Kayvan, Eastifer, Jaime and eyeone for being super supportive of my last bSV video with the web apps that I was talking about. So props to you guys for like sending me a little bit of bSV. I was having breakfast at the time and a coffee, and I got this little pop-up saying that I'd been sent these little payments or little donations or whatever you want to call it, but it just felt empowering. So I really appreciate it, which kind of helped me motivate, take what I'd written down this week into another video, because I think it's valuable for people outside of bSV or even no coiners like interested in crypto at all to see what's out there, what people can use and what people can play with, and some of the interesting ways that technology is being used to interface in your day-to-day life. So I came across this in my last batch, and I think I might have talked about it briefly, but it got way more interesting this week when a first NFT GIF thing got announced, and I want to talk through a few of my things that I noticed, and I made a list of observations and thoughts about the whole thing, what happened, and a few little issues that I had with trying to get hold of one of these NFTs, and what I learned from it and what you can learn from it, and how you can kind of be ready for when these things start to really take off. So there's a cool little token marketplace that bSV, Bitcoin SV, has, where you can buy, sell and use their mission to help people participate in a real-time economy. So I've been kind of looking at it, and when you get dumped on the relayX page, it kind of looks like this. So you kind of like not, you know, kind of like, where am I? Like, where have I been dumped? These tokens are really taking off. There was literally like 5 or 6 of these, I think, at the beginning of this week or last week. Like I say, I don't know what Friday I'm on anymore. But I'm going to get into this one at the bottom here, not at the very bottom, Streamer T, but like I didn't realize that they actually had a value on the on that. But I want to get into this a little bit more, because it's, if you start to dig deeper on these things, there's actually a lot of cool stuff happening with it. So I'll quickly just go through a couple of these just so you can see what I'm on about. There's one here called Rex1. So if you want to find out any information about what they are, you can go across to the info tab, and then oftentimes there's a link to the white paper, and then there's also like an introduction. So this Rex1 is an interesting one because you get 50% of any relayX trading fees back between this block and this block, and they're redeemable as bSV tokens by Rex1 holders. So that's really interesting token that you get paid out from any of the trading fees from any of the NFTs that get launched on the platform. So that happened this week, and I'm going to get into it and everything that was I picked up about it, what was interesting about it. The other thing from this market is this tick one, and this one stood out to me because it was $1,781. I was like, what the hell is costing that much? So if we go to it, what you see is a whole bunch of like tons and tons of like 3-letter names. And at first I was just like, I can't work out what this is trying to be or what it's trying to do. There's not much information on it. So I did a search for relayX ticker, and relayX actually have a really good Medium blog post. So everything that they're launching and everything they're doing, they're very agile on this at the minute. They're putting stuff out every other week from what I can see. But what this is like a relay ticker. So you're actually buying a ticker name or short name. So for instance, either lol or love or you, and then you can use that ticker to list any number of token contract addresses. So like let's say here, if you've got a ticker, if you have the ticker art, your link relayx.com/market art will direct you to a digital store shopfront listing all kinds of art pieces or art related goods. So that leads me nicely on to let me quickly go to this one. That leads me nicely on to a tweet that they put out on their Twitter this week. First GIF NFT on relayX by Art on Chain releasing here. So I saw this within about 13 to 15 minutes of it being launched, which took you over to this, right? Which was Pew relayX, which is a great little tool actually for sending out small bits of bSV to multiple people at once. Very cool little tool. I'm finding that a lot, that there's a lot of, you can always tell that something's interesting to developers when you see really small minimum tools that give you like huge value back. And I think this ecosystem is interesting, that is that it seems to be lots of these just popping up. Anyway, back to this. So originally this was 100 NFTs. This GIF was 100 copies available, and they were being sold, if I remember rightly, at 0.3 bSV. So that roughly worked out at the time around $45 to $50. So I thought, I'm going to get into this because I had about $70 of bSV, and I had to do a few adjustments to be able to send more than what I'd set of $25 a week, I think, because in Handcash you can actually set the limits so that you don't go over, or somebody doesn't request something and you just go over it. You can actually set how much you want to spend. So I had to go in there and change that. That's straightforward to do in the little app. And I thought I'd get into this, and I was going to buy one of the first 100 because it's the first GIF on this relayX, and it's going to get a lot of traction. Looking at it now, it actually 10x'd from where it was, so it's like nearly 2 bSV, $592 to own one of the 100. When I first looked at it though, within the first 20 minutes of being launched, these were being sold for $45, and I had enough money in my Handcash, but it was early morning before coffee, and I jumped into my Handcash and I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my money from Handcash to my Paymail address on relayX, and I will have enough balance to be able to buy one. So I went into Handcash, and at the top of Handcash it says dollar handle or Paymail address, and I started typing my relayX address, and it was just showing as a handle, and I was like, oh no, I can't do it like this, I can't send it like this. So I went through this like crazy thing of sending money eventually to my Money Button account, because in Money Button I can actually send it to the email address or the address of relayX. But what I didn't know, and maybe it's a UI UX design on Handcash, but until I put the @ sign in, it doesn't change the top bar. So when you're doing a handle payment, so if you're sending something to me, it's just like $humble. But if you're sending it to a Money Button address, or you're sending it to a Relay address, it's almost like an email address. But until you put the @ sign in, it doesn't remove the $sign. So I just didn't think I could send it to it. It was just my non-functioning brain in the morning, which was kind of frustrating, because I literally watched this 5x while I was messing around with that, trying to do it. Otherwise I would have bought one, and I would have been still sitting on it now, hoping to flip it. So that's a little story of what happened this week. And that was a little bit of FOMO, but also it was the first NFT on there, so holding on to something like that and being around, on these platforms early is beneficial for later on, a year or 2 years from now, when you have that token. Like I got one of the little egg things as well from just participating on Twitch, and that's what a lot of these platforms really want. They want active, engaged users talking about their platforms, telling other people about it and the value of it and how they work. So I mean, I'm proof of that this morning by getting all these little donations come through on Handcash. Really, really cool. So another thing about so that was unfortunate, but like, you live and learn, and now I know how to send stuff around and send money into relayX easy. So that's another thing that I put in my observations and notes, which I'll step through in a minute. But you have to play with this stuff. You have to like get down and dirty and in with this stuff. You have to load up a balance of bSV and play around with it. You can't just like, expect it just to work for you. So another thing that I love about relayX is they are selling these NFTs. They've got 5,000 of them. These are effectively, they're around $45, but now they've jumped up to $60. And I presume the price is going up the more that they sell of these. But they're producing 5,000 actual physical cards. And these relayX payment cards are, there's nearly 500 of them have purchased. So there's literally 4,500 of these left. 0 fees, load micropayments instantly, pay mail for that card, which is kind of useful. Plus, receive RXC, a token issued on bSV for every bSV card topped up. Relay will reserve 15% of commission on bSV. So, like a real world card that you can send money to and then use it, to pay for stuff. That's really cool. But I really love this angle of buying the card through and owning the NFT version, a virtual version of that card, and then that payment is basically the payment to provision you with a real world card. And I think that there's a lot of people looking at NFT right now and wondering how they can use NFTs or have so many editions of an NFT to actually fund real world things. For instance, this week I spoke to a stage manager who's very interested in NFTs in terms of actors who are part of a play, and they all getting a slice of an NFT for that particular performance. You can see how far that can go. So this is really interesting to me because it's an area that I initially, when you get dumped on this front end page, it's like you've got to learn about it. Otherwise, you're just like, what do I do with this stuff? Like, how do I interoperate with it? So another thing that I should show you, and I'm not quite sure where it is now. I've got to try and find it. Is it on Wallet? No, it's not on Wallet. Yeah, it's on Wallet. You see at the top corner here, I've actually got a profile image, right? So how did I get that profile image on that? Well, there's a great little service using bSV called Bitpick, your own avatar on Bitcoin forever. And it's really, really simple to use. So you can actually upload a picture of yourself and it gives you the specs to be able to do that if you look at the About page. And then you can search for the pay mail or transaction ID. I can't remember if I had to pay for it or how much it was, but relatively cheap. And you have a list of the unconfirmed ones that are going through, and you can see mine here. This was confirmed, and then there's a link to it, which that link then gives me a link to an image. So I can use this as a profile picture on all of the, any decentralized platform that I want to use, because I've always got it stored. So if you're interested to see how that works, they've got a really great About page where they store these on the Bitcoin blockchain. So instead of Gravatar, of having your email address linked to a picture and that gets pulled back, they've got a way to upload your avatar to Bitcoin. And then they use a third-party platform, a trawler called Planaria, a Bitcoin crawler which indexes Bitcoin transactions in real time into a database. So that's how they can pull back and give you a URL to the image. Super, super cool. And it's just great to see these small little bits. They add up to, people can cherry pick into their little applications and build stuff out from it, which I find super cool. I think that's all that I wanted to cover this week. I'm just going to go through those observations really quick. One thing about, that happened was the FOMO of wanting to get in early because I knew it was going to explode because it was the first NFT. And then the second thing of realizing I have to learn these things, and there is a lot of elements to it that you need to know. So the first one was, crypto is a speed and knowledge game. You got to be fast with this stuff and you got to know how to do it. The fact that I had a balance in hand cash, and the fact that I hadn't used hand cash enough to send it to an address, to know that when I put an @ symbol at the top, it would change it from a $sign to an actual payment address. If I'd have known that, I would have sent the money into this platform, into relayX. I keep getting confused with laborX, which is something else I use for a client. I would have sent it straight in here and I would have been able to buy it instantly. And another thing I love about bSV is it's so damn fast. There's no waiting around for hours on end. It's like transaction done, you own it, job done. Sending funds around, super easy. You know, using Resilio, Relica, a great little platform that looks like Instagram, where you've got like a great little breakdown where people have like followed you or, you know, liked something, and you can find out what your referrals or your income is. I love the fact of getting paid for participation. You don't get that on Instagram or YouTube unless you hit a certain algorithmic figure. What else? Emotions of FOMO were pressing it hard. Like, the FOMO was unreal to try and get hold of one of these. And this is something that's really quite interesting, I think, for people who are into crypto and people who are no-coiners, is that I think a lot of no-coiners want centralized platforms, and they want it super easy. They don't want to remember passwords. They want to be able to just click buttons. They want to be able to see an action and a reaction. I think a lot of people won't deep dive enough and educate themselves how to use these tools. And the FOMO was unreal, of like, there's only 100 of these, and there's, you know, quite a few people that I see on Twitch and in the bSV community, so I knew they were going to get swallowed up really quick. But it also gave me a lesson of like, you have to disconnect the emotional side of it. Like, I saw them go from $45 to $78, and I was trying to like put more money into the wallet. Like, oh, I've got to get this one because it's probably going to go up. And at that point I was like, no, I'm getting emotional about it, and I've got to disconnect all my emotions about it. I missed the bus, and I've got to be happy about the fact that I missed the bus, but I learned how to use the software a little bit better. I learned how to do what I need for the next time. Yeah, I could have probably flipped. Yeah, I could have flipped it to like 5x within that first hour, and now we're looking at nearly 2 bSV, nearly $600 for one of these. Now you're probably thinking, well, it's just a GIF. Like, so what? Well, it's the first NFT that was launched, as far as I know, on relayX, and so it has that in time, you know, you were first to buy one of those. It's like holding on to a master art print for the first time. It's just going to increase in value over time because you bought it early. Like, a lot of people who've bought lots of NFTs early, in the next 5 years, 10 years, who knows how we're going to interoperate with those NFTs. Maybe some branding company will approach you and pay you a commission fee to have that digital art piece hanging in a digital art gallery for a period of time, and it'll be a real-time transaction because you hold it. You have it as a digital, you have it immutable on a blockchain that you own it, and you've owned it for 10 years or 5 years or whatever it may be. There's a huge value in that. No coiners don't understand being early and spending time to learn about the ecosystem. I think that's a huge part of this, is that if you realize that there is another way to store value and time in a mathematical sense, then it completely redesigns everything you've ever thought of when it comes to money, or at least it does for me, in terms of the value of my time, how I price my time, where I use my time, what I'm doing it for. You only have to deep dive like the Federal Reserve to really find out that they're just like printing for the sake of printing. Crypto is a frequency that reinvents itself in minutes. That's the hardest thing about it, is that I can't tell people about this stuff. I can only share I can share my experiences with it, right? But I don't want to go and tell somebody that this is the way to do it, because tomorrow it could have completely changed. There's only one blockchain right now which I'm looking at, which I'm giving a big pass to, and that's Cardano, because I truly believe Cardano could do some incredible stuff worldwide. It's unfortunate that they didn't get the smart contracts out in time, but it's one that I'm looking at. Understand the tools and services makes you agile. Like, literally, I could have bought one and 10x'd it in the space of a couple of days. Crazy. Balancing out doing staking and stacking for events is a skill. So I think that's the next area for me, right? Is that I've changed my approach to crypto in terms of just putting stuff out, thoughts out. I've actually gone to stacking platforms that I believe in, and they're all going somewhere and have a really true utility and trying to do something different. And then the stacking, the staking and stacking. So the stacking, investing in cryptos that I believe are going to go somewhere, and then the staking is the ones that are going to give me a percentage return per year. So there's a bunch of blockchain cryptos, just by holding them I actually get a return on them. And I'm realizing after seeing so many people on TikTok and so many people talking about investments that just seem to have flooded my feeds recently, is that I've been approaching the way I invest in stuff the wrong way. So I'm just glad to have learned that lesson after 3 or 4 years of using these platforms. I think that's it. There is 2 more things I want to mention. Is that right now I'm getting involved in crypto projects that I feel like I add value there by being there, to demystify it for people who maybe think like me or are looking into this stuff for the first time, or quite newbie. And I think I'm relatively good at explaining these things. You have to remember there's like 7,000 different projects out there. So if you don't feel at home there, you feel like alienated, or you feel like you're not having a connection with people, then move, go somewhere else, go and play with another blockchain. There's loads of different ways that people are expressing these things now, and that there is something for everybody out there. But from artists to designers to content creators talking about technology, hardware, could be super hyper niche. There's going to be a blockchain project out there that need your voice attached to it, because you're helping them in a number of ways. Transactions in terms of TX records on the blockchain, so it looks busy, so it's being used, and also like your follower account is going to amplify the message of how it's useful for your life, how you're utilizing it. Like that relayX thing I was on about earlier with the artist buying a ticker and being able to mint your own NFTs for things, and having a token with and putting it onto LaborX's front page. You know, this is going to be absolutely full at some point. And so that's exciting to me, because I want to see where this goes, because every blockchain could potentially have their own little marketplace like this. It's just crazy to me. Finally this week, I want to quickly talk about Chia. You probably heard about it. It's a new blockchain from Bram Cohen, the guy who originally invented BitTorrent, which sold to Tron. Kind of a weird thing. He must have either just wanted to get out, or the price was depreciating fast, or he just wasn't getting many buyers. But the fact that Tron has bought it and tried to flip it and use some of the narrative of like, oh, we have millions of users. Well, no, you have loads of millions of people downloading torrents. That doesn't make you have users. That just means people are using the protocol technology to do what they want to do with it. It doesn't make them necessarily users of your engaged users of your service, or investors in your flipped token of BTT for BitTorrent. That's not to say that BitTorrent might not be up there with all decentralized hosting solutions, but I don't know. It was a weird situation, but the fact that Bram's made some money, he's flipped the script, and now, like typical inventors, has gone on to make something else. And he's implementing the first new Nakamoto consensus algorithm since Bitcoin in 2008, with proofs of space and time replacing energy-intensive proof of works. So he's looking at this from a perspective of being able to farm and mine without having to use stupid amounts of electricity, and also looking at what's already existing in terms of smart contracts and such like, and building those in. And they've got some kind of programming language that he's bringing out with this as well, called Chia Lisp. So this is definitely on my radar to have a look at and play with. I'm not sure if I'm going to set up a node for this. I seem to be moving towards managing, being an admin and managing lots of nodes, being parts of these networks by staking my value, which is, you know, time, patience, and making sure things are up to date on a server, and running lots of these little servers to either mine or uphold the infrastructure of these platforms. And I do that because I'm interested in those platforms. That's why I stay around. Even if I don't interoperate or communicate with the people on those platforms, I do like their vision and where they're going. And so that's why I want to support them in whatever way I can. And if that's hosting and staking a little bit, then so be it. That's it for me today. I've just waffled on for the last God knows how long. How long was that? I don't even know. Have a good Friday where you are. Thanks again to James, Donald, Deepish, Kayvan, eastifer, Jaime, eyeone for supporting that last bSV video. Really appreciate it. Really made my morning when I was having food, breakfast and coffee this morning, and just my hand cash was blowing up. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? All right, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.